So, welcome back to our last session, and it will be two topics in our agenda. We will begin with the PLC Next technology. Will be presented from Professor Saman Kampakkel. Professor Saman, are you ready?
Yes, Dr. Praja.
Okay, then
So,
yes.
should I begin now? So, welcome all our participants and say greeting again to Professor Salini from Project Chief. About in 30 minutes, I think I cannot show everything about the PLC Next, but I will show you why now have to be PLC Next technology and show how easy it is to use the software and so on. So actually, may I share this slide to the chat because I will answer review my answer now that I can change that because I can go further deep in detail. So these links would be useful for further research. So may I attach the link to the chat, Dr. Pachak?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I think it would be useful for the future. And yeah, I have to give some file in chat now. I'm not sure would be this version or not. Yeah. Version 2, yeah, would be version 2 now, I think. I have to test this whether it's the right version. Yeah, I think it's the right version. So I will begin now with my presentation, and as I said, I will not go in depth with the programming things because we have not much time, but I will give you some overview why we choose this technology. You may have heard that the words IT and OT. IT is information technology and OT is the operational technology. I come from the operational technology, so I'm electrical engineer, so I am familiar with the PLC programming and so on. But in the industry, if the IT administrator asks me to some data or some so what that I don't understand, so would be conflicts and vice versa if the I ask for something that I want in electrical way to the IT administrator, they won't understand me, certainly. So it's two worlds of different world. What are the difference? I think for the information technology, certainly the place would be the server room with air conditioning and so on. But for my side, OT is shop floor. It's dirty. It's humid. It's not comfortable. So the hardware would be extreme robust and so on. So the condition of the hardware are different, and the technology for the IT side must be off the shelf and commercial. But for the OT would be the vendor dependent. So we have several marks of PLC, and you will see that they can many years ago they cannot interoperating between them, but now they can. Design mindset, the IT would say thing as network and application view, but for OT side would be just by electrical, just wiring, just connector, and so on. It's hardware. and the cycle time for supporting, yeah, industry would not be replace hardware so often. So it's about 10 or more years to replace the hardware, but for the IT side would be shorter. For the OT side, the priority would be the RAMs. RAM is the reliability, availability, maintenance, and safety. Is the four core of the operational technology. So the IT side think different. They think of efficiency. So one hardware would work all around, multi-talent and so on, and usability would be easy. Yeah, that's some, for example, of the IT and OT world. Then the technology changes. So they want some hardware that can merging both sides together to use this hardware. Then there are some example already with the, for example, by Siemens, they launched the Semantic IoT 2050, which actually Linux based and works as the IoT gateway and so on. And some, yeah, it's from German company also, because is based on Raspberry Pi and Linux, which for IT or for computer science would be favorite because it's Linux, and they would love it. And yeah, but for the OT side would be difficult to begin. I will tell you about history of the PLC technology now, about the structure. For traditional PLC, we have the standard here, IEC 61131 here, which consists of 5 basic languages. And all languages are, for human, are hard to understand. I mean that, and if we have traditional PLC, once we program with, for example, PG1 module program with the IEC standard, and the IT or computer science want to program one task with C or C++, they would have the third-party code generator to program and put it in the PLC system. And these 3 programs cannot interchange variable and so on, not together, because they have different sources. So this was a problem that if one write in the IEC standard, they cannot use variable from the other sources, and it's incompatibility for the system. So as we saw for the previous slide here, is a pure Linux base. For the pure Linux system, yeah, it's maybe we can interchange the variables and so on in one system, but we have to work hard for my OT side. For operational technology would be hard to learn and make it yourself, our coding and so on style with Linux tools. So it's very hard for industry to begin with. So there be the alternative, which the compromise from both things, which the heart of our hardware, which we have here in Etat project, is PLC Next control. The difference from the second slide, the both two slide former, was that there the base of the system is actually Linux, but not pure. They have the middleware and some components that call the PLC Next component, which can use the runtime process together. So if we have the IEC standard programming, we can put direct through this real-time manager and some native coding, just like yeah, Linux and so on, can programming through middleware and some block like here, yeah, for the real-time access. Let's see plus. So again, for the real-time manager can manage some programming language just like C, C++, C#, the standard AAC standard, and also script language just like MATLAB Simulink, LabVIEW, and so on. And for the hard real time, if you want hard real time, you can also programming with C++. And if you want to pure code with Linux base, you can also just write direct to the root system of the the PLC. So that's the significance of the PLC Next control, that they have the flexible from the real-time manager here. So we look aside in this component, they contribute of 3 parts. That means here is system components, service components, and I/O components. Which I/O components would be interface for the input and output for the real world. So for example, would be the management of the bus system and so on. And for the service component, it's handling about the data on the HMI and web-based things together, which this is the field of the information technology, I think. Yeah, and system component would handle for the more OT side, more in PLC programming. Yeah. If you want, you can visit. The good thing of this PLC Next, that they have openness and resources, which you can take a look in the PLC Next community and find some maker blogs. They do some projects by themselves and show and share how they work and so on. And for the software, I think it's free, yeah, because you buy hardware, but you don't have software to operate it to can do this. So the software is always free and updated every 3 months and so on. And for the extension, we have some software store like App Store or something like we have in Android and Apple, that we can write the application to extend our PLC. I think this ecosystem would be for computer science and informatica in February. And from my electrical engineer, it's not hard to step in, I think, because there are community here. Let's take a look closer to the hardware, what we have, and I will show you on my camera again. Depends on capacity and performance in the horizontal line here. Would you see that there are some high performance PLC, which actually is PC inside, and some functionality with more memory, more speed of CPU and so on. And what we have here in Etat project is the average, normal average one here is the KST2022. The specification of this, actually inside is the ARM processor, so for Linux operating system, and have enough RAM, yeah, for not much, but enough for embedded system, and some input output. PLC Next has the special I think special bus communication, which called axial line here. I will show your hardware again, and certainly they can extend with the industry bus, just like Profinet and IO links and so on, which the all are Ethernet buses communication. So I think I will show you at first hardware and some software that here. So yeah, as you see in the last in the former 2 hours that each Etat training center have this PLC as the heart of the training center. The training set can stand alone and learn for operating itself in the IC standard program and so on. And we have the Ethernet cable that go through the PC, which I will connect it to the software. We have 2 modules, which are the digital input output and analog input output. Actually, that was enough. This digital input output controlled by switch and LEDs here. And the other input and output array would be controlled by another digital input and output things. So actually, we have only here is enough. We can do it and learn it with the PLC programming. But what we have here is the extendable IOs, which are from the Profinet and Profibus, which is this module here. And you can extend through the Ethernet cables, and you can extend with further IOs. Theoretically, infinitely, but it depends on your space on your control cabinet. So what I will do is just only in this part. These 2 input-output modules connected with the PLC modules with the axial line backplane. We cannot see it. It's in the backplane here. Yeah, here. So what I have to explain more about this is maybe take a look deeper. We have analog input output also, which are the LED indicators from 0 to 10 volts and button to regulate, adjust the values, and also some input output through the banana safety slot jack things. Okay. What we have to tell now, actually we can extend the memory to the SD card here, but it's as the others PLC manufacturer, they have their own SD card, so we can use any SD card in the markets, but have to buy from the manufacturer. So yeah, I think I will reduce the screen now and start the program. For the program, I will show the website. We have PLC next. Just Google like that, and we will launch it to here with the what I say, the web page of this, and we can search for the software. As I said, the ecosystem of the PLC Next from Phoenix Contact are very good, and if you scroll down here, you can see application notes and so on, and software which related. The version just launched like some Linux distro, just like Ubuntu or Debian that begin with the years and month and so on. So we also have the long-term support for software. So actually, I used the long-term support. No, not new, but this version that I call. So I will software. One thing between I wait for the program, we can have access to web browser to the PLC because it's Linux based. So if you have IP for the system, you can access easily. And you will be familiar with I think like IT administrator that if you go to some server local and have to log in and give some password and manage, you will not be afraid of this hardware. For the password, I will show you. Password would be screened on the hardware, and many PLC hardware, for example, Siemens already screen the password also. The trend of the PLC administration would be in this way that we have admin password and authorization things. I have to give some password shortly. Okay, I think I give the correct password, and you can configure anything about PLC, almost, but for example, that you can use the security for the authentication. You can add user, set authentication for each user level for security. It's good for Pajak would go tell you about HMI and SCADA later. It's good for multi PLC, multi PC system which use SCADA system, and you can set it. You can update firmwares and so on. If it's too small, I will zoom it for you. Okay, here, just like also the App Store that you will see some app that you buy and so on. And the configuration, you can see, yeah, the things that from computer science and information technology love it to see about the IP4, IP6 number and so on, and network, yeah, about the diagnostic about Profibus and so on. Yeah, that's the thing that I still didn't see in another PLC manufacturer, I think. Yeah, actually they can do, but maybe I don't familiar with them. But this PLC next from Phoenix Tech have this opportunity to do. So I have called this again, and the easy one is you can choose from template, and many PLC manufacturer from Europe have this style. I think Siemens have also some template, but not like here. And you have to choose the hardware you have and the version of the firmware you want to do. Just like I think my case would be here. Okay, we have still enough time to show some basic code. I will show you for the IEC standard programming, not in the reference as I show you. I show you how easy to connect and so on. Today I got problem. Really, actually we can search for the online devices, just like here. But this part not work. But actually it can connect. I will show you to another thing. That means that we have another. If I just right now, this part would be for project. I will not open it. Here is the hardware, and if you double click, you will see something that you can connect it online here and see the real setup as you see in the web browser. So you can have control on either on here or on the web browser on remote. If you work on remote and access the device through the internet, yeah, it's easy to work from the server room or operational room. I have to find some password. FB5. Okay. Yeah, as you see, we connect now with the system and we can see how many memory left are used. I used almost the half, the half of them, and CPU load and so on, and also devices things. So we can see it. And from this hardware, oh, I forget to add the hardware. If I already connected to the hardware now, and they show me the setup to the hardware, and like mostly most PLC manufacturer, they can read the information of device online. For example, I connect to the device and I can read which I/O I can connect now, or I'll connect to my PLC now to the axial line device, and from Profinet also. But I think it didn't work for the online device. I can't find it, so probably some false for me. So, but we can access to the axial line to input and output devices. So just short how to program it in the IAC. The program already resided in this, we call it the ESM cycle. Nah, this next. Okay, I have to zoom out. Yeah, let's forget the concept of the IAC, but I will show you how to program it shortly, and maybe give for the project further programming local and programs. So for the main program are here in this part. Certainly you have to make familiar with to use how to use software, but I think the software are similar to other European software from the PLC manufacturer. So we have 3 languages of choices. The easy one would be the this block, function block. We call it function block diagram. And at first, you have to define the variable names. I mean, I just like int1 and int2 in the type of Boolean. They have many types of the usage, like local, external. Local is local local memory that not connected to the external input and output. Just like here, we have here the real input and output. So what we choose are the type of make it assigned and to choose as the external. Another thing, what are these? Import and output are used for, as you remember that we can programming in other languages like C++, C#, and so on. We use this part for the I/O to connect to the runtime manager. So it will be in the next future. If you want to learn more, come to our Etat training center at E6 University more. So it's just sneak preview, I think, to show. I define just two input and one output, like here, or big capital and or external. So I define 3 variables and I can write code now, which actually if you don't familiar, you can search here. For example, I want a block that are called and logic, just like you see here, and you see that are here, and you can drag and drop easily to here, and just click the enter tab to put the input port, which we already defined at the variables here. Into and the output. I have to admit that the example is very easy, but I will show you how to connect them. We have write a code that we have two input combined with the AND or logic operation and give the output. So what we not do now is that for the external, we still don't match the real input output to the variable name. So we have to go to the PLC here. We set the PLC here and data list here. As you see, we have all I input and output, which come from this DIO1 and AIO1, as you see here. So I can define at DIO1 here for the input 1 and for the into and for the output 1 is here. So that's all. I think we link all it and we can upload it to the PLC. And I think it would be successful. Okay, no warning, no error. No, it's not have to. I want to show you that we have debugging mode that can see the status now of the code also. It's, yeah, small visual for you. Okay, if we just dot it, how we stay aside, just one and zoom in. Okay, could you see it? Okay, if I define two input here and one output is the LED here. If one, you see, one is true, and if the input one is true, the output would be hidden behind. Just sorry, here the LED lighted. So I think it's yeah, it's just sneak preview for something about the PLC Next and how easy to use the software. And for the HMI things, I think it's easily also. And what I have to refer further would be the links here, because it's openness of the furnace contact. We have GitHub, so you can find for more example about. I can click. Actually, I can go to it and show you some. That we have C++ example, C Sharp, Unity also, because C Sharp can link it with Unity and edge devices and so on in Linux style. So it will be useful to take a look in the code here, and here are some runtime that I found from the PLC community, which it certainly you have to have the hardware. So the last word for me, please note the website etat.com, and following our activities, maybe 6 of our training center open for the next training for you. And yeah, keep in touch. So it's all for me, Dr. Pajak. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Saman. So I think we have a little bit time to Q&A. So any questions from the floor?
Yeah, it's just overview how the technology now for the PLC.
Okay.
It's
So
emerging
maybe,
technology now. Yeah.
yes. If you have questions later on, so we still have the Q&A session after my presentation. So thank you very much.
Okay, I will stop share now.
Yes,
Thank you.
And for the next, it will be the PLC next and the HMI basics, as Professor Saman already said. And I will present this. So let me first share my screen. So, okay. This momento. Okay. So the PLC next, and I will talk about in the part of HMI basics. This is very easy. This is surprisingly easy to use the HMI on the PLC next. It's just, some steps to do. And if you understand the steps, so you can create simple HMI elements in no time. It's very quick and very easy. So what I will talk about is, about the overview structure of the PLC Next and the HMI, and how to deploy it, and step 2, create the HMI page. So we can go first at our overview structure. So in every PLC Next controller, for example, Professor Saman already talked about it. We have in our Etat training center the KST2022, which is the moderate, I mean, not so good, but not so bad. It had enough memory and CPU to calculate a lot of things. And within this controller, we have the HMI web server. You remember that the operating system on the PLC Next is Linux based. So therefore, they put the HMI web server in this Linux based operating system. And with the help of the HMI web server, we can take a look at our visualization elements in different ways. For example, we can watch it on using the web server. We can use our PC with the Wi-Fi or LAN connection to our controller. We can use a web browser on PC to take a look at the visualization or visual elements from the HMI server that we created. We can use, of course, tablets, which is really useful nowadays because the size of the tablets is bigger than just only smartphones. For example, you can use like 7-inch tablets or 10-inch tablets to monitor your plans or your your system in the factory. You can just bring your tablet and then you connect to the local area network, and then you can get the IP address of the controller, and then you can go in there. You can see your all of your visual elements on the web browser. It's just very easy. So the next thing, the next possibility that you can do is to use the specific HMI devices, which is we have here in our laboratory or our training center too. I will switch the camera to show you. So this is, this one is the PLC Next, what Professor Salman already showed you. And this one is our HMI device. So this HMI device connect with the PLC Next, where the Ethernet card. So you can see this is our Ethernet cable. So and then the visualization on this HMI device will be get from the controller, the PC Next controller, where the Ethernet cable
I think the connectivity of project still low. Yes, it come again. So in New York, it's raining also heavy rain. So maybe in Chonburi also. I think.
I'm so sorry, but I don't know why my Zoom keeps shutting down and then reopen it itself. But I will share again. So, but right now you can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I will turn on the my the fan. So, okay. I will share my screen again. Sorry. Okay. So, again, you see the camera already. This is our HMI device, and this is our PLC Next device. So let's move to our slide before it's shutting down again. So the HMI device is very practical, yes, because you can attach it to the system and in the factory, and so you can go there and without any device, and then you can see what is going on, and then you can touch, you can give the input and everything. So this is two ways that's very convenient to use the HMI web server from the PLC Next. Okay, so this is our deploying procedure. So if you want to create a new project in PLC Next Engineer, you have to create the new project, and then you have to design the HMI page, and then you have to assign the variables. So in the program, you will have several variables. So you have to assign the HMI tag into this variable. And then if everything okay, you can write and start. If there is no error, you have to start the HMI simulator, and then you can see the HMI page display. The IP address of the PLC Next controller will be your HMI IP address. I mean, you can see it from that IP address, and then on the web browser, for example, you can give just only the IP address of your PLC Next controller, and then you will see the HMI visual elements. Okay. Well, this is the steps to create the HMI page creation, what I will summarize for myself. And I hope that this can make you understand what I want to say. The first step is that we have to create the code. Professor Saman already showed you that. Well, the very simple way is to go to the main program and then just create the function block code, and then with this code you can create the variable. Professor Saman already showed you. Thanks again for that. And then with this variable you have to attach it with the HMI tag. From the HMI tag, you can call it in the HMI page here. The HMI page, you can put on several things. I think they have three categories of the HMI elements. The first thing is the objects. The objects contains several basic objects such as buttons or text or like ellipse that you can make it like a LED, something like this. This is kind of buttons and so on. And you have the so-called locals. Locals, you can import the images. For example, I import the logo, and then I have the logo of the Burma University, and then I can drag from the image to put it in the HMI page. You can make a template from this, and the default category. From the default category, you can create the symbols. Symbols meaning that you have the basic elements all together and make it at a group of basic elements. For example, you want to have the gauge or something like this, and then you have several things. You may have the text, you may have the buttons and so on. And these combined together as a symbol. So therefore, you can create your own symbols, and you can store it in the library, and then you can call it from another project too. It's very convenient to use it. And if you assign everything, assign the elements here with the HMI tags already, and create the interaction and behaviors, then you can write and start. Everything will be written to the PLC Next controller, and then you can launch the HMI simulator to see what is going on. So I will show you what I did, and then we will go together in to create a very simple HMI, and you can see how easy this could be. So let's go to our program. This is the things, the HMI page that I already show you. So this is the button I just dragged. So this is the HMI category. You can see it here. There are also three subcategory: the objects, the locals, and the default. The objects I already said, they are the basics elements such as button, chart, ellipse, line, something like that, text, and so on. You can drag and drop to this. And I have, for example, the button here. I can change its property here, the text and everything else. So like a color, background color, or put the image on it, or make a stroke around it, something like that. And this is just only the text and the lines. And this is the ellipse I already told you. And this is the image that I just imported to these locals subcategory, and then I got the image of the Burapha University logo and our laboratory, the DMI lab logo. So, okay, we will take a look how this works. So I already assign every element with, with our variable. So I have variable here. I assign it already. So we can take a look at it. I will write so to our PLC next controller. So it's right to the PLC next controller. So look like it's no problem. I can come here and then launch the HMI simulator. So I launch the HMI simulator. So in case that we want to see, so we have to give the credential, the login user and password here. And we want to see what is going on with our program. So we can go to here, PLC Next, ESM1, and side click and then maintenance and main. We can double click there. And then we can see our program in place, like a debug mode, something like that. And I will click here to see it side by side. So I have to log into my HMI. I type in admin and the password is so, and I already there in my HMI. So I can click on button A. So just take a short look at my program. So I just have the AND gate, and I can get two input variable. If it is true, they are booleans. So if it's true, then I will give this is true. And the other task is to get the input from the PLC, the input 0 and input 1. If they are true, then the LED 0 will turn on. So let's go back to our HMI. I got the button 1, button A and button B. So is this true and true? Then I get the result true, and you can see it in the code that this is true and true, and I get the true as a result. So if I turn off one button, then the condition is not valid anymore. So, and the next thing we have to see it in our camera. So this one is our input 0, and this one is input 1. So this is the LED 0. And input 0 and input 1 is here, LED is here. So I will turn on the input 0. So you can see there's a screen here, meaning that the input 0 is on. And the next one is input 1. And this is AND, so 1 and 1, result 1. So if I turn off one input, then the LED is gone and the output from our HMI is gone too. So this is very simple, right? So, no, this is very easy. And so I will show you how to create such a thing. Let disconnect from the PLC first. Like I already said, so we want to go first from the code and then go to variable and then to the HMI tag and design the page. For the first, I would create a new HMI page. I just go to the under the HMI web server and then add HMI page. So I click add HMI page. I get a new one. I can rename it. For example, second page. So I got it, second page, and then I double click to open it to edit. This is a blank page. There's nothing in here. So by the way, if you come here, there are several pages. So I have the page, I have the login page, I have the test page, I have the second page that I created from previously. So if I want that this page will be my first page, I have to go to that page and then right click and then set HTML page as startup. So for example, if I come here and then I set HTML page as startup, my HMI page will select that my HMI device will select that page as a startup page. So I will see that page first, but I want this page, this one, to be my first page, and I have the button to go to the next page. So I will set this page as my startup page. So let's go to the second page. I will show you that I have two inputs, and then these two inputs will I will use the AND operation and let the LED turn on. So let's go to the code. I go to the code, and I will add the I will create a new variable. So my variable would be let's say PLC input 2, and we can use the Boolean, and this has to connect to PLC. It should be external, and the other thing is PLC input 3. Boolean is okay, and external, and our output, we should use PLC output, PLC output 0, and then output 1, Boolean and external. So that is okay. And for the code, we can put it here. So I would use the AND operation. And with this AND operation, I will put the PLC input 2 from one variable. Another will be PLC input 1, 2, 3, 3. Okay. And as the output, it should be PLC output 1. So that's our program. It's very easy. So if the input 2 and input 3 turn on, the LED output 1 will turn on. So what is the PLC input 2 and 3 and output 1? We have to go to our PLC and go to the data list, and then we can then assign our variable to the input and output of the PLC. So our variable name is PLC. Where is it? PLC, I think is this very further here. PLC input. This is correct. No, global. Where is it? It should be input 2, right? I think this is 2. And another thing is this output 3, input 3. It should be here. This is in 3. And we have here output 1 it should be just here, right? Out 1. Okay, we have new 3 variable. This is okay. So, and then I have to right click at the variable and click on add HMI tag. One by one, it will be the HMI tag after the variable. So this one by one, this one, 2 HMI tag. So I have all of the variable with the HMI tag. So therefore, I can call it from my HMI design page. I go to my HMI design page again, and I have to use the ellipser as a input. I will use the text, and with the text, I will go to the text and click on the format to change the font if I want to change it, the size if I want to change it. Maybe it could be bold, and in the middle I think this is okay. And then I will say it in, it was 2, right? Okay. And we can do this. And then with this one, I think we can change the background, for example. No, yeah, we can do it later in the dynamics, because it's well, something a little bit different from the button. So I can copy and paste it for the next one. The next one is our input 3. And then we can paste this again for our output 2, right? It was output 2 or whatever. Okay. So this is our second page. So we can put some kind of text here and say this is second page, HMI, for example. And then we could change this a little bit. Well, maybe a little bit bigger, bold, and in the middle. So, okay. The next thing we have to do, if we have the button. So the button, it has the behavior. So if I have the button here, it has the section called behavior. So with the behavior, we can call the variable that we have the HMI tag already, but just only for this kind of elements. But in this ellipse, we don't have such a behavior that we can use the variable. We have to use the so-called dynamics. Dynamics will change the elements dynamic according to the signal. So I click on dynamic, and then I go to the new dynamic. We can do a lot of things here. So for example, we can let the LED blink or something like that. We can make a translation to move or to scale or to rotate something. But in this case, we will use the fill color, which is very simple thing. So we use the fill color with the variable. This is PLC input 2, I think, right? And with this, we can change the color. So the color of inactive is gray, and if it's active, it should be, I think the very simple one is green. You can choose other colors if you want to. It's not a problem. So in this case, I will choose just only green because it's very simple. This is for the next thing too. So for this, I will choose the dynamic and then the color, the field, and then the variable. And is the PLC things, PLC input 3. And it should be green too. And for the output, it should be the color and field. And then with the PLC, not V, PLC output 1. Okay. Okay, and then the color should change to green too. So, and that's it. That is our HMI. So we can check it by write to the PLC. If there is no error, so then this is okay. Okay, there's no error. But the thing is that we have this page, and this page will be loaded first. Will be loaded first. So this is startup page, and we never go to the second page because there is no link to it. So therefore, I have to disconnect this first and then make a kind of button. And with this button, I said that I want to go to the next page. I can go to the dynamic, and I will delete this because I made it already, but I will show you again. So I go to the new dynamic, I go to action, I go to action on click. And then with the action on click, I can choose the action. What is it? I choose the load page. And then I will get the name of the page, and the name of the page is second page. And that's it. So I will write and start the project again. Okay. So it looks good. Then we have to launch the HMI simulator. Okay. And give the credential, admin, and okay. I hope I can remember this. Okay, this is our HMI. So if I turn on, I have to show you the camera too. Okay, if I turn on this one, okay, and this one as a screen. So then I can go to next page, and it will load the second page that we already make a HMI. So I will turn on further. So I cannot see it. So could be this one and this one. Okay, let's turn on. Wow, it's so crazy. It's so really super easy, right? So that's it. And with the IP address of the PLC Next, you can see it on your web browser too. So I go with my IP address. This is 192.168.1.10 and enter. So it will load the HMI. So this is the HMI page that we already created. So I will give the credential again, admin, and then I think this is correct. And then login. So, and you can see if I turn on and off of my, I can have to see it. Okay, this one. So the input 1, input 2. Okay, there's function 2. So let's go to the next page and the camera again. Oh, sorry. Okay. So, and then this one and this one. Okay, it works. And you can see it. on our monitor. So could you please go and turn on and log in for me? Thank you. So, and this is our PLC, the HMI, right? So then I just beg my colleague to log in to this HMI. So it has to be, yes, this is a little bit, yes, this is not so easy to use this because I think we use the stylus pen or something that's very, very small, right? And then you can put this, because our finger is too big for that, I think, yes. And then I think you should, yes, yeah. Next time we have to, but or if someone get the stylus pen, and then we can put it more.
Use the USB keyboard and mouse. Yeah.
Oh yeah, something like that.
Also.
Yeah. It could work too. Yes, USB keyboard and mouse. Yes, but we didn't connect this. But so is this correct? You have to click on the green button. Green one. You have to let the virtual keyboard down. ไอ้ปุ่มข้างล่างนั่นแหละใช่ครับ No, it's not correct. So again, just a moment. So yes, I got a problem too. It's just because the finger is too big, and the suggestion for USB keyboard is good, and mouse, right? Mm-hmm. But we don't have. We didn't try it yet, but I think it would work too. By the way, the HMI device, they have the connection, the connectivities with the RJ45. No, yes, right, RJ45. This is for the Ethernet connection and the USB connection, I think. So good. Good. No idea. So the problem is about the username and password, I think, to give it. So is this every time that you write a program, so you have to re-enter your credential again and again and so on. And this is really annoying, I think, for me, of course. I wish they have such a, remember password function, something like that. But I don't know if this is possible. Felipe is here. Hello, Felipe.
Hello?
Hello, Felipe. Do you know if we could store username and password for the HMI somewhere?
I usually use the login screen, so I don't know exactly.
Okay.
I will study, and the next day I will show you how to do.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
I think maybe you can delay the login screen maybe in the tree, in the project tree.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know exactly.
Yeah. Or we can bypass the credential. So I mean, but it's not that secure, right? That may long bit.
It's a problem with the touch panel.
credential delay generate setup.
Okay, here is come. So, thank you. You can see it. And if I just put it here, so if I touch this here, I don't know if you can see it, or is it too bright? So, yeah, this is green. And oh my God, it's reconnected. Oh man. And I have my filter. Momento. I have to keep in the username password again. Sorry. Here. Then more. More. Okay. So, like I said, if you do it with your web browser, it is more easier. Oh man. Uh, uh. Oh, I don't know why again. So, but I think you got the idea. This is
Yeah. But sorry, Felipe. For the next day, I don't have this web panel. I think it's not a problem for the workshop.
No, I don't think so, because we can use the web browser.
Okay. Taking an account of your problems with the web panel, I think it's the best idea.
Yes. Let me see. Okay, so we are in again. Thank you. So you can see the green button, right? And the other one is the green. Okay, so that is green too. So if because we use the AND operation. So and for the switch here, good. So and then green, and the other one green, and the LED is green too. So if I go to the next page, and if I made the input one green, the other input green, so then the LED is green. So we got it. Thank you very much. So that is the thing that I want to show you guys. Right, this is but actually it's very easy. I think it is more easier to use the web browser like this. And I think that next week we have the more advanced training from Professor Felipe Mateos from University of Oviedo, right, from Spain. So we will see a lot from him from that. And right, that brings me to the end of my presentation today. I think we are good in time. And thank you very much for paying attention and for the next thing is about the Q&A. Please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
So, Felipe, just wait. Maybe someone has a question for you.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
I do not have a question. I just wanted to thank you for good organization. It was very well prepared and it was really interesting. So thank you.
thank you, Katarina. Thank you for joining us. So I hope this is not
Okay.
for you guys.
Sorry?
I hope that it's not too early in the morning for you guys.
It was too early. It was really too early for me. But it was okay.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so thank you. Have a nice rest of day and bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice
Bye-bye, Catalina, and the rest. Thank you very much. Rayat Saman. Bye.
So thank you very much for joining us today.
Bye, Felipe.
If you don't have any
Bye-bye.
questions,
See
so
you
we
next
see each
day. Yeah.
other again. So thank you. Bye-bye.